Charleston White got into multiple confrontations with fans during a comedy show at the Roar venue in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He went off on a woman in the audience.
Sit down or put the out. Watch my back. Make sure nobody don't sleep me.
Squared up with her partner.
We can fight. Hard fight. I tried to talk me out. You got your mother.
Put a man in a wheelchair in a headlock, and threw a $900 microphone. The footage hit Instagram and X the next day, and it has not stopped spreading since. Here is what happened at that Winston-Salem show, how White responded, and why this fits a pattern that has followed him for years. What happened in Winston-Salem? The show took place on Valentine's Day 2026 at Roar, an entertainment venue in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Charleston White was performing a sold-out comedy set. The venue was packed, with heavy security present throughout the building. White was dressed in his usual style, including a red beanie. The crowd was there to see a comedian known for going off script and creating moments that no one can predict. They got what they came for, and then some. The night did not go left all at once. It went left in stages, a sequence of confrontations, each one caught on camera from different angles by different people in the crowd. The footage that came out of that room tells the story in pieces, and those pieces have been circulating ever since. The first confrontation involved a woman in the audience. Based on the footage that circulated, White was mid-set when a back and forth started between him and a female attendee. The details of what she said or did to set him off are not clear from the clips, but what is clear is that White did not hold back. He went at her directly from the stage, talking about her personal life, her finances, and her relationships. He told the crowd that most of the men in the room could not even speak up in their own homes.
When you go home and argue with you can't tell her that. Most of you, when you go to talking loud in the house, don't nobody listen to you because you don't pay all the bills.
White kept going. He brought up the cost of the food at the venue and told the crowd not to come at him if they could not afford a plate. He made it about money, about who had it and who did not.
So don't bring your ass to the talking if you don't buy a $65 chicken.
Then he went further. He started talking about the woman's living situation. He told the crowd her kids could not even come over because there was no room for them. He said she had multiple baby fathers. He laid it all out on the microphone in front of the entire venue.
Say, stop, put your hand down, because you can't change the thermostat. You can't change the thermostat now. Why need women have?
He was talking to the men in the crowd too, telling them they did not even have authority in their own households. Then he turned back to the woman specifically.
Matter of fact, your kids can't even come over because they ain't got their own room. Your kids can't come over. You got 2 or 3 baby daddies.
After that, White pivoted to himself. He contrasted his own family situation against everything he was saying about the woman. He brought up his marriage, his 2 children, and the fact that they were all by the same woman.
Bastard baby. About to look pregnant right now by that's in jail somewhere. I got 2 kids by 1 woman who I was married to.
He said it again right after. 2 kids, 1 woman, married. Then he brought up his children's education, his daughter graduating at 15, his son graduating too. He used his own family as a weapon against the woman he was going at.
2 kids by 1 woman. My daughter graduated at 15 years old. My son graduated.
That is when the situation shifted. White told the crowd he did not want to hear from the woman anymore. He dismissed her. And then a man in the audience, reportedly the woman's companion, started moving. He was not heading for the exit. He was heading toward White.
I don't want to hear no more. They got multiple baby daddies. Punk ass. I don't want to talk to broke.
White saw the man approaching. He did not back down. He did not lower his voice. He told the crowd directly that he was ready to fight.
We can fight. Hard.
According to Key Talk Media, who covered the incident on YouTube, that man was the woman's partner. He was trying to come around the side of the venue to get at White from an angle where White might not see him.
So the girl that he's talking to, that's her man right there. He started to go around the side. So he's coming around the side, I guess gonna try to go sneak trash talking Charles.
White told his people to watch his back. He was not leaving the stage. He was staying and dealing with whoever came at him. He called for the woman to be removed from the venue entirely.
Sit down or put the out. Watch my back. Make sure nobody don't sleep me.
That confrontation with the woman and her partner did not end in a fight. Security kept it from reaching that point, but White was not done for the night, not even close. The second confrontation is the one that went everywhere. A man in an electric wheelchair entered the venue mid-performance. He was rolling toward the stage area with speakers attached to his chair, blasting a track that kept repeating aggressive lyrics. The man was later identified in some reports by the name Show Off Praise. The disruption caused confusion among the audience. People turned around, heads moved, murmurs went through the crowd. Some people thought it was part of the act, that this was a planned bit between White and whoever was in the wheelchair. It was not clear in the moment. White stopped his set. He stepped off the stage. He walked toward the man. There was a brief exchange between them, the audio of which is unclear in every clip that surfaced. Then White placed the man in a headlock. The hold lasted several seconds. The crowd reacted. Security stepped in. Key Talk Media described the scene this way in his video breakdown of the footage.
Now, there is another clip where Trash Talking Charles get into it with this man in a wheelchair. Now, I guess the guy in the wheelchair tried to do something to Trash Talking Charles.
After the headlock, White went back to the stage. He did not address the man calmly. He addressed him as a warning, telling the crowd and the man himself that the consequences of testing him go beyond what happens in the room.
Walking up to the stage like you gonna do something. Man, go do thing. You ain't got the kind of bomb money I put on.
He continued with the same energy, making it clear that the fallout from crossing him would not stop at the venue.
You ain't got the kind of bomb I'm on all your ass.
After all of that, the argument with the woman, the near altercation with her partner, the headlock on the man in the wheelchair, and the threats from the stage, White ended the show the same way he ends a lot of things. He threw the microphone, and it was not a cheap one.
That's a $900 mic, Charleston. God damn. Can I get some money in that? God damn.
The aftermath was immediate. The clip went viral after being posted on platforms like X and Instagram on February 15th, 2026, garnering thousands of views. No Jumper posted the footage on X. DJ Academics shared it on Instagram. The North Carolina Beat ran a full story on it. The Winston-Salem Journal covered it as well. Hot New Hip Hop picked it up. And all over social media, people were picking sides. No arrests were made that night. Police were reportedly involved post-show for an escort, but no charges came from any of the confrontations. The footage, however, did not need a police report to do damage. It moved on its own. By the next morning, the clips were everywhere. Reaction videos, quote tweets, comment section arguments, and hot takes from media pages that cover hip-hop and internet culture. Within hours, the narrative had split into two camps that could not have been further apart from each other. That is what happened. Now, here is how White explained it. Charleston White's response, and the comedians who crossed the line before him. What made this entire situation spiral even further was not just the footage itself, it was what Charleston White said about it afterward. Because White did not go quiet. He did not let the clips speak for themselves. He did the exact opposite. He got on camera, delivered his version of events with an unwavering, almost theatrical confidence, and doubled down in a way that split the internet clean in half. In a live stream that followed the show, White insisted the entire wheelchair confrontation was staged. He claimed he had personally invited the man to the show, brought him into the VIP section at a cost of around $6,575 and instructed him to disrupt the performance on purpose, all for entertainment value. According to White, the man in the wheelchair was not some random disabled person being victimized. He described him as a former basketball player who stood 7 feet tall and was perfectly capable of walking on his own. White said the man had been seen outside the venue beforehand, standing upright, drinking, wearing size 15 shoes. He framed the entire interaction as two people who were in on a bit together, a fake fight designed to get a reaction from the crowd and nothing more. White stated on camera that the man had rolled over his toe during the show and that when the man started playing, he played back. He called himself a genius for orchestrating the moment. He told people not to believe what the clips looked like on the surface and to look deeper at the performance underneath. White also referenced his own disability in his defense. He is legally blind in one eye, a condition from a childhood accident that took his right eye. He drew a direct parallel between himself and the man in the wheelchair. In his telling, a legally blind man and a man in a wheelchair were on perfectly level ground. Key Talk Media referenced this exact moment,
which made him have to defend himself, so he grabbed around the dude's neck and was like, hey man, we both disabled, this is even.
That line, "we both disabled, this is even," became one of the most repeated quotes from the entire incident. People ran with it on every platform, some laughing, some disgusted, some genuinely unsure whether it was brilliant or deranged. And this is exactly where the fiercely polarized polarized reaction to Charleston White becomes impossible to ignore. Supporters on platforms like Instagram and X praised him as clever and calculated. Comments flooded in calling the moment hilarious and genius. People who follow White regularly know this is his brand: controlled chaos, provocative outbursts that blur the razor-thin line between performance and real aggression. For these fans, the Winston-Salem show was not a disaster. It was exactly what they paid to see. They pointed to the lack of arrests, the lack of any confirmed injuries, and White's own detailed explanation as ironclad evidence that the entire thing was staged from beginning to end. Some commenters went as far as to call the man in the wheelchair a willing participant who knew exactly what he was signing up for. But on the other side, some accounts claimed the man was genuinely choked out, suffered a neck injury, and was hospitalized afterward. One Instagram post said the man was actively seeking a lawyer. Comments called White a clown for putting his hands on a disabled person regardless of the circumstances. Others said it did not matter whether the man could walk or not. The optics of a grown man placing someone seated in a wheelchair in a headlock were indefensible, staged or otherwise. Disability rights conversations began threading into the discourse, with people arguing that even if the man consented, the spectacle of choking someone in a wheelchair for laughs sets a troubling and dangerous precedent for how disabled people are treated in public spaces. The backstage footage added yet another layer. In clips from after the show, White was still going, talking to his team and revealing a calculated awareness of exactly what he had done. He openly acknowledged the cameras and said they were part of why he escalated. He said it again, with a quiet certainty that made it clear this was strategy, not adrenaline. Then he laid out what might be the most revealing statement of the entire night, his formula for keeping people coming back. That line says everything. White sees what happened in Winston-Salem not as a disaster, but as content. He understands virality, he understands scarcity, he understands that the more outrageous the moment, the more people will pay to see what happens next. Now, as wild as all of this is, Charleston White is not the first comedian to physically go at someone during a show, not even close. The history of comedians crossing that line with audience members is small but memorable, and it puts what happened in Winston-Salem into a broader, deeply uncomfortable context that most people in the comment sections have been ignoring. The most notorious modern example is Cat Williams, who went through an entire stretch from 2012 to 2016, where he was repeatedly accused of assaulting fans. The sheer volume of incidents during that period was staggering. In November 2012, Williams allegedly bashed an 18-year-old aspiring rapper named Delvon Mosley Davis in the head with a bottle near a hotel in Oakland, California. The encounter reportedly started as a friendly fan interaction, the kind of thing that happens every day outside of venues and hotels, before it escalated into violence. Williams was arrested on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon, and the victim filed a civil lawsuit. Just one day later, at a show at Oracle Arena in Oakland, Williams had a full onstage meltdown. He rambled incoherently, removed his shirt, challenged a heckler to fight, struck a member of his own entourage with a microphone, and was dragged off by security. The show lasted less than 10 minutes of actual comedy. A class action lawsuit was filed by fans demanding refunds for tickets that ranged from $33 to $94. It did not stop there. In December 2012, at the Paramount Theater in Seattle, Williams walked off stage mid-set, stormed into the third row of the audience, and hit a fan named Carlos Castrolino in the head with his microphone. Castrolino was knocked unconscious and suffered a concussion. After that same show, a family with backstage passes approached Williams for photos, and he reportedly became hostile, swearing at them, threatening to shoot them, throwing chairs as they left, and instructing his entourage to attack them. The family, including a teenager, required hospital treatment and later filed a lawsuit against Williams and promoter Live Nation. Years later, in 2016, Williams punched a 17-year-old named Luke Wash during a pickup soccer game in Gainesville, Georgia. Both were charged with disorderly conduct. The pattern with Williams during that era was relentless. Over 30 arrests in the span of just a few years, many tied directly to volatile interactions with fans, families, and the general public. Williams is the extreme case, but the history goes back further and spreads wider than most people realize. Comedian Kenny Moore smashed a 12-string guitar over a heckler's head at a comedy club in Bossier City, Louisiana, around 1990. The heckler needed over 40 stitches. Moore, a Vietnam veteran dealing with PTSD, spent a weekend in jail, paid $5,000 in fines, and publicly apologized 25 years later. In October 2018, George Lopez got into a scuffle with a Trump supporter who had been provoking him at a Hooters in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Lopez grabbed the man's phone and roughed him up. He was charged with misdemeanor battery, though the charge was later dropped. And as recently as May 2025, Theo Von grabbed a fan by the throat and pushed him at the 1230 Club in Nashville jail after repeated harassment from a group. Police investigated but took no action. Every single one of these incidents followed a similar arc: provocation from the audience, escalation from the performer, and then a public debate about who crossed the line first. Charleston White's Winston-Salem show fits that history, but with one key difference. White is the only one who got on camera afterward, called himself a genius for it, and then explained exactly how he planned to monetize the chaos. The pattern: Charleston White's history of confrontation and controversy. The Winston-Salem incident did not happen in isolation. Charleston White has a long, meticulously documented history of confrontations with fans, audiences, and the broader public, a sprawling trail of altercations that stretches back years and follows a strikingly familiar pattern each and every time. He provokes, the crowd reacts, things escalate, and then White tells everyone watching that it was either self-defense, staged, or both. The most well-known prior incident occurred on December 9th, 2023 in Crockett, Texas. White was performing a Christmas-themed comedy set when he started questioning the legitimacy of the Los Angeles Lakers 2020 NBA championship, won in the COVID-19 bubble. Two audience members wearing Lakers jerseys, one in a Kobe Bryant tribute jersey, took exception. White taunted them. Then he grabbed a decorative flower vase from the stage and hurled it at the man's head. He followed the vase by throwing his microphone. The two fans rushed the stage. A full brawl broke out. White posted a video afterward claiming he was untouched, unscathed, and undefeated. During a live stream with Adin Ross, he said he feared for his life and acted in self-defense. Local reports from Crockett framed the fans as defending themselves after being verbally and physically provoked. The video amassed over 9 million views on X. No arrests resulted. Before Crockett, in August 2023, White pulled a knife and pepper sprayed his opponent during a celebrity boxing match. The event was halted. White claimed the other person broke the rules first. No charges were filed. Then in June 2025, White was pistol whipped while getting a haircut at a barbershop in Fort Worth, Texas. This time, he was the victim, blindsided in the barber's chair with no chance to react. That incident was a reminder that the world White operates in does not separate provocation from real consequences. But the altercations at shows are only one dimension of Charleston White's controversies. The other dimension, and arguably the one that fuels everything else, is what he says. His statements about rappers, their families, and the culture surrounding them have generated some of the most incendiary moments in recent internet history. White has openly stated that he views the rapper persona as a fictional construct that is separate from the actual person behind it, and that he attacks the persona, not the individual. But the people on the receiving end of those attacks do not see it that way, and neither do their fans. He maced Soulja Boy during a 2022 confrontation, then filed a police report and called it self-defense. Soulja Boy admitted approaching White over prior comments, but denied aggressive intent. The incident was later referenced in 21 Savage and Drake's 2022 song 3 AM on Glenwood. He criticized T.I.'s parenting and predicted T.I.'s son King Harris would end up in prison, a statement that prompted T.I. to respond directly and challenge White to say it to his face. He called Child Protective Services on Finesse 2 times after seeing footage of a 10-year-old artist, Lil King, in environments surrounded by guns and drugs, arguing he had a civic duty to report what he saw. He disparaged YSL Woody's disabled daughter during an ongoing feud, claiming his own child was superior. He mocked the deaths of King Von and Nipsey Hussle, saying he was smoking on that Von pack and wishing similar fates on other gang-affiliated artists. He bet money that Blueface and Chrisean Rock's baby would be born with disabilities. He sided with Drake over Kendrick Lamar during their 2024 beef and called Kendrick's music for retards who twist their fingers up, while dismissing Lamar's cultural impact entirely. He called Lil Wayne a vampire whose brain cells had been destroyed by drugs. He threatened Boozy Badazz's son Tootie on camera. The list is not short, and every single entry on it generated its own individual firestorm on social media, its own wave of response videos, quote tweets, and death threats. Each one reinforced the same volatile, combustible image, and each one brought new attention, new followers, new enemies, and new people waiting to see what would happen next. White's broader public controversies extend well beyond hip-hop feuds into territory that has drawn the attention of federal law enforcement and national media. In March 2023, he went on an anti-Asian rant during an Instagram Instagram Live, targeting rapper China Mac and making sweeping derogatory statements about Asian people. The rant led to an FBI investigation over accusations of kidnapping and illegal firearms. A planned comedy show with DJ Academics in New York City was canceled as a direct result. In August 2023, while collaborating with streamers Adin Ross and XQC, White made anti-Semitic remarks against Ross on TikTok Live. He later apologized in tears, claiming the remarks were part of a character he plays online, but the incident highlighted a recurring pattern. White says something designed to shock, faces backlash, and then frames it as either performance or misunderstanding. In September 2025, he was invited to Tougaloo College, an HBCU in Mississippi, for what was supposed to be a debate. Instead, he told the audience he did not believe in racism and dismissed HBCUs entirely, saying he went to a white school and did not give a damn about no HBCU. Students chased him off the campus. In a YouTube response, White claimed the event was misrepresented and that he had been trying to talk real to the youth. The students who were there did not see it that way. Then there are the arrests, which have become almost routine entries in the expanding Charleston White timeline. In October 2024, White was detained in Texas on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and animal cruelty, the latter allegedly involving pepper spraying a cat. He denied the animal cruelty charge, but admitted buying a gun for protection. He was released shortly after. In February 2025, he was arrested again for aggravated assault, though those charges were eventually dropped. He celebrated the dismissal loudly on social media, turning what would be a sobering moment for most people into a victory lap. False reports of him being shot in 2026 spread rapidly on X, further muddying the already chaotic line between what is real and what is manufactured in Charleston White's world. All of this sits underneath the Winston-Salem footage like a foundation. White has spent years building a persona defined by scorched earth provocation, and the events of February 14, 2026 are not a departure from that persona. They are the logical extension of it. At age 14, he participated in a robbery at a Foot Locker in Arlington, Texas, during which an accomplice fatally shot a man named Michael Levy. White was convicted of murder under Texas law and served nearly 7 years in a youth facility. After his release in 1998, he earned a degree in criminal justice from Texas Wesleyan University and co-founded the Helping Young People Excel program to steer at-risk youth away from crime. That redemptive arc is what his supporters point to as proof that his provocations come from a place of lived experience and genuine concern, that he says what he says because he has seen what happens when people do not hear the truth. But the public-facing version of Charleston, White, the one who puts men in headlocks on camera, throws vases at fans, mocks disabled children, and calls himself a genius for all of it, makes that redemptive narrative harder and harder to hold on to with every new incident that surfaces. This is the pattern, and it repeats with a reliability that borders on clockwork. White walks into a room. He says the thing no one else will say. He waits for the reaction, and then he either fights through it, explains it away, or claims it was all part of a master plan. The Winston-Salem show fits that template with surgical precision. A packed venue on Valentine's Day, a woman confronted from the stage about her personal life, her partner circling toward him through the crowd, a man in a wheelchair put in a headlock in front of a room full of cameras, a $900 microphone thrown across the room, and then a live stream where he explained it all as genius-level orchestration that the public was too naive to understand. No official statements from Roar or law enforcement have clarified the situation. The man in the wheelchair has not publicly confirmed or denied White's version of events. The woman from the audience has not spoken publicly either. The only person who has told their side of the story in detail on camera with conviction is Charleston White himself, and that is how it always goes with him. He creates the moment. He controls the aftermath. He shapes the conversation, and by the time anyone else gets a word in, the footage has already traveled too far and too fast for context to catch up. For Charleston White, that was the entire point. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.